everyone, this is Wicked Gaming, and welcome back to Starfield and DarkStar. I'd like to formally welcome all of our PlayStation 5 brothers and sisters to the fold. We love that you're here now and hope to see you around the social media platforms, DarkStar headquarters, Discord, Reddit, wherever we run into you. We are glad to see you here and hope that you enjoy the game as much as we do. That said, this is also the simultaneous release of DarkStar 2.0 with a very quick caveat. I wanted to mention that there was a minor bug that was found right at the tail end of this release prep and will be fixed instantly as fast as I can. I've already got the fix completed. I am submitting it today for review. So as soon as I can get it through review, I will get it out to all of you. And it will be safe to update mid-playthrough. That said, its effects will only be felt by those who have older accounts, so it should not affect any PlayStation players. Let me go over what those changes are, what that effect is, so that you can be prepared as you enter the Starfield. So at a high level, there were differences in the legendary crafting system between what Freelane's introduced and what DarkStar does. In order to fix that and some quality stuff, I made some changes to DarkStar. They were very large changes, very broad sweeping, with a very little time to accomplish them. I got most of it done, and I thought everything was working great. I had a last-minute change I needed to put in, and that last-minute change broke a couple subsystems. So here is what does not work perfectly as expected. First of all, legendary crafting by DarkStar. It still works, but you can only put legendaries, the legendaries you know from Bethesda's legendaries, you can only put them in the wrong slot. So if you go into your gameplay options for DarkStar and you turn on off-slot legendaries, then you'll be able to put, for example, ablative on your armor, not in slot 1 where it belongs. You'll be able to put it in slot 2 or 3, or 2 and 3. So you can still apply the legendaries, but they will be in the incorrect slot for today. Again, that is fixed in my copy. My copy is being submitted for review today, so it's all a matter of time. It's a very, very small inconvenience. If you have weapons that already have those things attached, they should be fine until you go to update them, and then they will kind of fall out of place, and you'll have to put them off slot like I just said. The secondary effect to that is that the legendary drops on weapons and armor injected by DarkStar, those legendaries are going to fail to apply. The DarkStar custom legendaries will apply, so you will still be able to get those on loot. But for today, until my version that I've got locally is approved by QA and gets sent out as an update, those drops will be underpowered compared to what their final version is supposed to be. And you'll see in my gameplay example later that it is indeed fixed on my end. So the solution for that is just to play the game. If you are a new player, that isn't going to affect you at all because the new loot injection doesn't occur until you reach right around level 60 plus. And then my settings kick in for the enemy scaling if you have enemy scaling turned on. And to be clear and fair, for the start of the game, until you reach character level 60, it doesn't really apply to you anyways because the level scaling doesn't engage until about then. So this should be zero impact to the PlayStation players that are coming in, because unless you are really finding some cheat mode mods to kick in and power level yourself, which I highly recommend you do not do for your first playthrough, this won't affect you at all. It'll be fixed by the time you get there. For existing players, that system is already a little bugged in the current DarkStar 1.0, thanks to the Shattered Space patch, which most of you run. Don't run that patch at all right now. I need to rebuild it from scratch with the new DarkStar 2.0 technology anyways. And for now, just, nothing dramatic is going to change on the looting front. That is fixed again on my side and is awaiting the QA review as of today. I do have some errands to run on release day that cannot be avoided, so we're also battling that for time. That said, let me get into the game, and I will talk to you somewhat briefly about the overall changes implemented in DarkStar 2.0. This is going to be a chaptered video, so you will be able to skip ahead and avoid this section if you are a new player to DarkStar and would rather just know what DarkStar does for you and why you want it. So here I am standing on my base on Archimedes 5A. It's a moon with a beautiful, beautiful night sky. I absolutely love this planet for home base dropping locations. I highly recommend you check it out and use it. And it is far right side of the galaxy map for a reason. But what were the changes between DarkStar 1.0 and DarkStar 2.0? Well, first of all, if you go into your gameplay options and scroll down, love the new interface. Thank you, Bethesda. The challenge rating is now much more impactful to your gameplay. First of all, the enemies that you were facing in 1.0's Punish Me, their strength is now DarkStar. The Punish Me enemies are now 10 to 15% harder than the last version's Punish Me. In addition, enemies that are DarkStar or Punish Me have higher tier loot injected into their inventory to be worn and used against you. Like I said, there is currently a small bug that is fixed on my end and awaiting approval through Bethesda's QA system. If you dial your difficulty down to just for fun, and if this is your first playthrough, I highly recommend you run just for fun until you reach probably around level 60 to 100. Then no enemies are scaled at all. These will be the pure vanilla enemies and friendlies across the whole game. They will be vanilla NPCs built by Bethesda, untouched by DarkStar. So the DarkStar spawns only come into play when you flip up to DarkStar or Punish Me. Otherwise, they are not upscaled by DarkStar at all. So these NPCs will have the vanilla combat style, combat AI, gear, level, health, all of it. And if you are the type of player that prefers other leveling mods or scaling mods, or just doesn't care for power scaling at all because higher level enemies are harder to kill by their nature, then you can by all means run just for fun. See, the other thing is VIP mode has returned. As you can see, I've got it toggled on here on this character. You can toggle it on and off here once you have unlocked it. Unlocking it happens at the blue information kiosk on the very home screen. If you scroll down a bit, there is a VIP mode section. It costs, as this describes, or it used to describe, but it costs 50 quantum essence to unlock VIP mode permanently on a character. Once you've got it unlocked, you don't have to pay for it again. You can toggle it on and off as you see fit. Why you would want to toggle it on and off is the DarkStar research requirements for crafting, the DarkStar research specifically, not vanilla research, are disabled on all crafting. In addition, the DarkStar research itself is disabled in the research workbench, which means you will not be able to progress on DarkStar research while VIP mode is on. That is by design. If you want to progress on DarkStar research, toggle VIP mode off, go to the research bench, work on your research, toggle VIP mode back on, and then you can continue building and building your ship, building your outpost, buying and selling goods and ships at the discounts and the bonuses that you get under VIP mode. Awesome. Ocelot legendaries. This is what I was talking about in the intro. Toggling this on lets you put things like shattering in rank 1, rank 2, or rank 3 in your weapon, and same thing with armor. So this allows you to mix and match combinations. I am not here to tell you which things stack and which things don't. That is for you to discover and play with. No, I did not catalog them all. There's way too many legendaries. I will say most of them should have some ability to stack, although it may not be the complete and full effect. I'm interested to see what the community comes up with here. Again, they're Bethesda legendaries for the most part. So while I do have cloned copies, for the sake of DarkStar's differences between, free lanes. That doesn't mean I changed how they behave. They behave exactly like the vanilla ones. So what stacks, stacks. What doesn't. And if there's community outcry and they want me to customize one to make it stack better, then I will, if it makes sense for DarkStar. Advanced looting is also a new feature. What this is when I inject loot into specifically outfits like apparel and armor, spacesuit, helmet, backpack, into enemies' inventories, I inject it into their equip slots and remove what they had before. Now, when I do that, that's not lootable by you by default. So those are in a different inventory on the actors. That's an inventory that controls what they wear and what they use for their worn body. That inventory has, in base game, a 10% chance to drop what they are wearing. And that's per slot. So the normal process, normally when you're running around the game and you're looting a boss or an NPC and he's got a yellow piece of armor or blue piece of armor, purple piece of armor, they were not wearing that armor ever. Base game does not have an NPC wearing legendary gear. That just is not part of the system. So the legendary gear that you see when you're looting enemies is, as far as armor and clothing, is a drop that was injected in to their loot table by Bethesda or another mod. That is not what they were using. In order to give you access to what I'm giving them, to make it fair and to add more reward for fighting harder, more difficult enemies, I had to give you the ability to strip gear off of enemies. So I recommend using other mods. Shade is immersive looting, simple immersive looting by Karotic. Gorefield has its own extended looting features built in. If you're using one of those mods, put them below DarkStar and toggle this off. It will start toggled on, since most players are going to be brand new to DarkStar with this release. So they may need this. What this does, if you're playing mouse and keyboard, for example, is it gives you the ability to hover over, target a corpse, and you press the space bar and it strips their armor and their clothing, and it lets you loot it. And on controller, I think it adds an X or a Y on the Xbox or whatever on PlayStation. So it adds the ability for you to press another button and loot that character. That is it for new gameplay options added by DarkStar. So we have covered that. The biggest thing, though, the biggest effort was probably based around the scaling system. So the loot injection, which has the legendary object mod bug, but the scaling system itself is working fine. It's the object mods aren't attaching due to cross wiring, but that the NPCs being able to turn that off. So when you go just for fun, you don't have to face the scaled NPCs under that setting, and the codex machine. So if you're familiar with the codex machine, you will notice that this is different, is totally new. These three boxes used to be off to the side. Well, now this whole unit is packed together as one buildable object. In fact, if you wish to build a codex machine of your own, you can actually do that with codex machine, and that builds the same one that you see right there. Or you can build the small version, which is the little black box with all the parts pre-attached. This means they will not vanish on you, and they are not trying to dynamically link with each other, so they will not break like the old one did. So here you go. You have small and regular size options to build anywhere on your ship or at an outpost. And then, of course, you have the ones pre-built at the on the crafting deck on any landing pad. The one in Paradiso was also updated. So here we are. New codex machine, brand new coding processing logic behind this, which makes it mod injectable. The previous version was not mod injectable. This version is. I found a new way to handle it that runs a little smoother. And so long as the other mod follows a few basic rules with their injection, then they should be able to inject things to be strippable here and legendaries to be able to be stripped off here. So that was another new feature. Required a lot of custom coding to pull off and execute. I will say that thanks to the changes needed for free lanes, the information kiosk for weapons, armor, and stuff is a little out of date, a little out of sync. I'll have to revisit that in a future update. I am not going to delay the current bug fix for that, since that is just informational. It's not functional. But what were the differences? Well, for free lanes, you can update the quality of your gear, a Bethesda provided feature, and you can also randomly roll legendaries. And after so many attempts, it will let you select a legendary. Now, those are only going to be the Bethesda legendaries and the Bethesda quality levels, and that is only going to work on Bethesda's equipment, because the DarkStar crafting gives you more control and uses cheaper resources to accomplish. So X-Tech is much more rare, much harder to find. It has weight, and there's probably other things you want to do with your X-Tech that aren't equipment crafting, such as upgrading ships and things like that. So keep your X-Tech for those other things, or use it for your vanilla gear. If you're low level, you probably want to stick with your vanilla gear for quite a while. But once you switch over into DarkStar gear, then, and I didn't switch my scene. Pardon me. Apologies. But once you switch into your DarkStar quality tiers and everything else, and start making things Mark II and Mark III, then it shifts into DarkStar's methodology, which is using quantum harnesses to upgrade the quality of the thing, and then also being able to use codexes, which are legendary modules, to apply legendaries to a thing. So it sounds a little more tedious, and sure, it could be from a certain point of view, but the whole concept behind DarkStar's codex machine from the start was you go and you're destroying things, you're looting equipment, you come back to your central hub, and jump on your landing pad, drop everything into this box, all the weapons and armor that you're not going to wear and not going to fire right there in that moment. Drop them all in here, tell it to process, loot it, right? And then dump stuff off in one of these two cases. And then you have all the codexes, all the legendaries that you extracted. And should you want one of those legendaries, you now have the resource and you can freely install it on any other piece of gear. That was the goal. No random rolling involved. Or any of that. And of course, you can craft the codexes. For those of you that weren't familiar with that, there is the legendary crafting station right here that allows you to create codexes from scratch. And there's a high chance that the codex you want, once you've learned it in research, is available for sale and purchase here also. So there's 3 ways to get legendary codexes in DarkStar, and once you have a codex, you can apply it to any piece of equipment. That to me is a much more controlled, I'm taking charge of my equipment way to play. It's also a resource you can just carry around, and it's weightless and easy to transfer around. And when you use the quantum device that Bethesda added to go through Unity, you'll be able to, send some codexes with you into the next universe. This is a way to kind of carry your power forward if you wish. If you don't want to send the weapon, but you want to send the legendaries for the weapon, you can now do that. But the vanilla version of quality tier crafting is removed on the Mark II and Mark III weapons, Mark II armor, Mark II clothing, and the vanilla free lanes version of the legendary rolls is also removed. That is so that you can do it your way. To that end, vanilla equipment will no longer drop at unrivaled and relic levels. And in fact, it doesn't drop at exceptional or superior. It only drops up to refined or advanced or superior, depending on whether you're talking weapons or armor. Whatever it dropped at before the free lanes update is what it continues to drop at. The difference with free lanes is that you can bring that equipment back to one of your, weapon or spacesuit crafting bench, and you can upgrade it to advanced or superior or exceptional. It doesn't drop at those higher levels. But I took the DarkStar injection of quality tiers away from that base level equipment, rather than trying to jimmy it all in on top. And then when you come over to Mark II and Mark III, you have, calibrated, refined, advanced, superior, exceptional, and then unrivaled, relic, and then for weapons, mythic. So all of the base level new quality tiers are present on Mark II and Mark III gear, but you still have the new, the DarkStar added quality tiers above that, unrivaled and relic. And now new with DarkStar 2.0, weapons can drop at mythic quality. Mythic weapons are super, super rare. They are very, very high level. The NPC in question that is being given a new weapon to use against you, they have to be high enough level to wield a mythic in order for mythic to be possible. So, for example, you have to be level 200 now to get a mythic Varun Inflictor. So, a mythic Varun Inflictor Mark III. So, if you're fighting an enemy and they're over level 200 and they're of a enemy class that has a chance to have a Varun Inflictor in their weapon pool, then they have a chance to now drop a mythic Mark III version if you're running Punish Me, or a mythic Mark II version if you're running DarkStar. So mythic weapons are drop only. You cannot craft mythic quality on anything. It is only able to be acquired from enemies. So gives you a reason to go out and keep hunting, and also gives them the tools to maybe, one tap you when you least expect it. So be ready, be warned. It is very fun, in my opinion, and in all of my testers' opinion. So next new feature is, as you can see, there are DarkStar clothing items now. All of them are craftable at the apparel crafting station, and there are 2 spacesuits available at the spacesuit crafting station. They craft directly into a Mark II state, so there's no reason to upgrade them to enhanced. They would gain nothing. So go ahead and craft them if you wish. There are crew uniforms and a few other things. They all prefix with the word DarkStar. And there is a Unity suit, which is a Starborn suit, and a pilot suit in the spacesuit bench. All of them are skins created by X2357. Love you, X. Love your work. Thank you so much for your addition to DarkStar. What else? There is for ships. As you can see, my ship weapons have a red glow down the center, and if it was daytime, you would see that they are black and copper otherwise. Basic DarkStar colors. Now, that is the Archon weapon system particle weapon, and that's the another particle weapon, Archon weapon system particle weapon. These unlock at level 135 through, I think, with an NG, at least 1 NG plus trip, and if you have the game set, the challenge rating set to Punish Me. And then there is a Paladin weapon system that similarly looks the same, but it similarly unlocks if you have DarkStar challenge rating. So if you're on DarkStar challenge rating, you'll have the Paladin weapon system, and it comes also with shields and a cloak and things like that, equipment like that. And then there's the Archon weapon system, which is just slightly better than the Paladin weapon system. And if you are on Punish Me, you get access to the Archon and the Paladin. So you can mix and match and do what you wish there. They are definitely more powerful than the base DarkStar weapons, like the Obliterator and stuff like that. And honestly, I made them for the ship scaling that I was working on. Enemy ship scaling is still the same as it was in DarkStar 1.0. I had a more complex system for that, but it was not playing nice. It was going to take too long, and ultimately I had to scrap it because of this DLC and Free Lanes update that got announced. So it was going to take too long to get done on time, and I scrapped it, rolled it all back, and we'll revisit it in the future once I figure out the issues I was having with it. So let's see, what else? I think that was about it. There's more detail in the change log. minor tweaks and adjustments here and there, mostly for mod cleanliness, quality of life, kind of reasons. And I think that's about it for the changelog. So let's get on to the next section, which is new players. What does DarkStar do for you? Okay, for those of you who are new and have jumped ahead to this chapter of the video, I am standing at a DarkStar, this is the crafting or observation deck, if you will, on a DarkStar Nexus. You can tell what it is because this landing pad and all of my landing pads has a label on it. It lights up at night. It's white during the day. I think it's pretty cool. But it's a black landing pad. All of them are. And it levitates in the sky. It is a 2-click build. You place it and then you drag it up in the sky with your thumbstick or the W key, get it to the height that you want, and then you click it again and it's built. There's a crafting deck, an observation deck. There's storage built in. It creates atmosphere at the outpost. So every outpost you build that has a DarkStar landing pad is breathable atmosphere. Even on Venus or Mercury, does not matter. If you can place it down, you can breathe there now. Congratulations, terraforming, or micro terraforming, as it were. But storage, power generation, crew stations, ship crafting, mission kiosks, vendor kiosks, the blue information kiosk that gives you all bits of information about DarkStar. On the bigger landing pads, there's even an enhanced station built in where you can customize your character's appearance. There are beds on that lower deck, a navigation terminal. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. And it's just a little weightless box that you can carry around in your inventory and then build it anywhere you want at any outpost. So when you are down on the ground, though, you don't have to boost pack up like I just was. I was boost packing my butt off. Look how high in the sky that is. And also, doesn't that look cool? Come on, that looks cool. One of the side benefits to this is you can build anything you want underneath, and it doesn't matter. Like this guy doesn't care. So you can build underneath it. You can, if you're clever, you can build up on top of it. Your ships can land there, and there's also the cargo link system, which looks similar to this, but they're little cargo link pads that you can place around. Also, those hover. So you can build a whole city in the sky with a city below, or you can just drop that. If you're just looking for quickie outposts to get your business done, this is all you need. You don't need to build anything else. But I also have a landing pad transporter. For those of you without a great boost pack, or who just don't want to be bothered boost packing, it lands you right there. But what about your crew? If your crew are milling around on the ground, assign crew teleporter. If I had any assigned to this outpost, they would spawn right there as soon as I click that button. So that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. What about robots? Well, there's a gameplay option for that right down in the DarkStar section, which is summon robots with crew on pads. I have it off because I don't want it on, but you could have it on if you choose to. So once you're up here on the landing pad, what can you do? Well, first of all, there's a lot for your crew to do. There are little animation spots everywhere for them to interact with things, scan things, hold clipboards and look like they're studying things. There's a couple research benches on the outside here that they can stand around and do research on these power systems that are built in. There's a DarkStar Services kiosk, which is a vendor that sells lots of things. The credit value dramatically scales up as you level up. There's these benches that have the X, which are not available for your crew to use. So they're exclusive to you, the player, and they'll never be interrupted. There is the Tranquility vendor, a bounty clearance terminal. On this side, there is a Chunks link, a Terrabrew link, another bounty clearance terminal, a functional nav terminal in the center, Here's a blue information kiosk that tells you everything about the mod. There are crafting stations galore. Everything you should need down there for crafting, even storage. And when I come up here, these are actual functional crew terminals. Another functional crew terminal. 2 more here. Another one there. 6 total crew terminals. And then there's ship crafting up here, shipbuilding, along with mission boards of various types. So, that's a lot, right? Okay, let's start with shipbuilding. How does this work? Well, these buttons here, they're all going to start looking like this with the green and the red popped up. When they're in this state, they're not turned on. If they have the red state, they are also not turned on. When you click the green, that turns that vendor on so that their ship parts show up in the shipbuilder. So if I turn off Stroud, Tayo, Deimos, HopeTech, Nova, and leave it like that, when I go into the shipbuilder, I'm going to see just DarkStar parts. I'm not going to see any parts. There are some standard parts that always show up, but I'm not going to, like this 900T HE3 tank, that always shows up in every ship vendor. But I'm not going to see Stroud, HopeTech, Tayo, etc., because I have them disabled. So you can set your build pattern, whatever. You can set it up, sorry, to be exactly like you want and only like you want. That is, I think, a pretty slick system. I liked this press big clunky buttons interface. It was very purposeful. Just felt a little more old school. There's part filtering instructions which explain these buttons, and the change log is always up here. As you can see, that is v2.0.0. So this will update automatically when I put out a new update. So when the bug fix comes out that I've got pending, it'll be v2.0.1. And then there will be a 2.0.2 after that, etc. All right. So that's how shipbuilding works. Then when we go downstairs, whoop, didn't mean to crouch. So let's talk weapon crafting. So DarkStar, in addition to anything you might have heard, in addition to the shipbuilding and these cool floating build platforms, it allows you to craft and customize equipment well into the 100s for player level and multiple New Game Plus trips. So to do that, you can craft weapons at the weapon crafting station. If you have a crafted or looted or purchased weapon, you can, or gifted weapon, whatever, however you acquired it, doesn't matter. If you have a vanilla weapon, you can trade it in here. It will get destroyed, and then an enhanced Mark II version will be spit out into your hands. You can do the same again once you've done the research and turn it into a Mark III or vial weapon. And then, of course, there's ammo crafting. So all of this takes research. I'll get into the research in a little bit, but pretend you had it all completed. You would be able to craft a weapon here, upgrade it to Mark II, upgrade it to Mark III, and then customize it. And bing, bang, boom, you have now created a Mark III Beowulf. And I'll show you an end game example. So this is a weapon. This version of the Beowulf is available to someone who is level probably around 135 plus and been through New Game Plus at least 20 times and has gotten all of the resources from X-Tech and everything from free lanes to, and the patterns, whatever, to add Bloodthirsty plus Ebengard 1, 2, and 3 and all of these parts and done all the research. And this is in the hands of a character who is level 328 on NG plus 72, I believe it is, with every magazine, every skill point, everything. So completely end game. Can't really get any more powerful. So this is the end game for your weapons. But just to show how far it can come. So what does Mark III mean? Mark III means that it is now a particle beam weapon. So Or if it was already a particle beam weapon, it means it's a slightly enhanced version of the same particle beam weapon. So you can take a ballistic weapon all the way through and make it particle. You can take an energy weapon all the way through and make it particle. You can take a melee weapon all the way through and give it particle weapon style damage. We'll pretend that makes sense. So then from there, you can then customize that any normal weapon modules, and you can, of course, thanks to DarkStar, control its quality. This is in a different way than the way Bethesda handles it, and a lot more quality tiers. And you can apply any legendary you want. And in this case, you always get to pick. And if you look, example, here's Elemental or Disassembler. Up top right, the resource it says it costs is a Disassembler Codex. A Codex is produced by crafting, purchasing, or pulling Disassembler off of another weapon. So that is how you do the crafting in DarkStar. Quality tiers. You just saw that one was a relic. I know I'm moving fast, but there's a lot to go through. So quality tiers go through the standard vanilla ones, which is calibrated, refined, advanced, superior, and exceptional. In addition to those, the quality tiers also continue through unrivaled and relic, and then finally, if you're lucky, mythic. So you're able to upgrade things to relic if you are high enough level and have done the research. And then if you are lucky and fighting very high level opponents with your challenge rating turned up, then you'll be able to get mythic drops, which are the highest quality tier, cannot be crafted, can only be acquired. So the big deal with mythic and unrivaled is their level gaps are more extreme. So standard vanilla Bethesda leveling of your quality tiers for weapons is 10 levels between quality tiers. So if a weapon's quality tier level requirement for calibrated is level 10, then refined would be 20, advanced would be 30, and superior would be 40, and exceptional would be 50. Now, if that same weapon was being considered for unrivaled, the unrivaled quality tier, which is just above exceptional, would be 65 because it's 15 levels higher than the highest vanilla quality. And then relic is 30 levels higher than that. So then that level 65 weapon would have to be level 95 to be relic. To be mythic, it has to be 50 levels above relic, which means that level 95 weapon would have to be level 145. So you can see how the levels scale up rather dramatically. Now, that's relevant for weapon crafting because of the limitations of crafting vanilla weapons. So when you craft a vanilla weapon or you spawn it into the game with a console command or what have you, those are going to spawn at the world level, not your level. So they're going to spawn at the level of the cell that you're standing in. And since I can't control that or enforce it in order to prevent exploits that ruin your fun and your save, and I know some people are going to disagree with that, but in order to avoid exploits, I had to limit the crafting here to requiring you to be high enough level to be relic. Now, that will be addressed in the future. Since now weapons can't drop as relic in the vanilla game, I will be lowering the requirements to their max level drop. So that is coming in a near future update, not the next update. That will take a little more effort and tedium to set up. As far as Mark II and Mark III, there's no level requirements there for the native conversion because they just go straight to their bottom level for quality, and then you have to upgrade to where you want them to be. So there's that. Weapon and apparel crafting. For apparel, there's no level limit. You can craft it all right away. And then with armor crafting, so your spacesuit components, those do have level requirements, but most of them are low enough. They're like level 6 or 10 or 15. Those don't spawn the same way into the game world. They don't spawn the same way that weapons do. So I didn't have the same problems there with exploits. So there you go. And we've got, the standard crafting benches here too. But then there's this big thing staring us in the face that I've been running around this whole time. This is a codex machine. So you can see the codex input, the codex activator. There are codex outputs over here, weapon output, armor output, codex, and the codex output. And then in the middle, there is industrial workbench, a resource crafting bench, a research terminal, and a legendary crafting bench. That is a lot. I know, bear with me. So a codex is a legendary that is not attached to a piece of equipment. So think of it like pulling parts off of a weapon or a piece of armor or clothing in Fallout 4. In this case, this machine is doing that for you for legendaries. So you put in a legendary item into this container, you press this button when you're ready, it processes, and the armor or weapon go into their appropriate box, and the codex goes into this box. That codex, they look like this box here, this gold and black ammo box, or copper and black ammo box. But those ammo boxes are, wow, I confused myself. Those codexes can then be used at a weapon or a spacesuit crafting bench to apply that legendary to that piece of equipment. So as you're running around the game world, you can grab all of the loot that you don't want to use, but it has legendaries on them, dump them into this chest, hundreds at a time if you really, really wish. Press the button, it'll process for a time and spit things out. You then loot and go on your merry way crafting. From there, you'll have the white or non-legendary armor and weapons, which you can then take if you wish and turn into Mark II at the enhancement bench, right? Or take the enhanced version, that Mark II, and carry it on, continue it on to the Mark III station, the vile weapon crafting. So you'll have the base items to then continue crafting with. You'll have the codexes to then continue applying legendaries with. If you want to be able to craft legendaries, and if you want to complete your DarkStar research, make sure VIP mode is disabled, and then grab your codexes, go to any research terminal, one of those labs or this terminal here, and complete your DarkStar research, which, for example, oh, mine's disabled because I have VIP mode on. Let me turn that back off. Give me just a second. Like I said at the start, VIP mode toggles off research and research requirements. So I go here. DarkStar research is now available. As you can see, it's all complete. There's a lot of it, but most of it is, hey, I want to learn the Frenzy research and how to craft the Frenzy Codex myself. So I go and I find a piece of equipment that has Frenzy on it. I put it through the Codex machine. It spits out the Frenzy Codex. I then spend the Frenzy Codex to learn this research. Once I spend it to learn the research, it's gone, of course, that one is, but I can then craft another one or buy one. It's that simple. So the concept was a little bit of tedium as you explore and discover and loot things, or craft your legendaries using the vanilla system, on a vanilla piece of gear, non-Mark II, not Mark III, so you loot that Beowulf, come here, dial some legendaries onto it with X-Tech, bring them over here and be like, haha, I'm cheating the system, and drop it in there, strip the legendaries off, and now you can do the research, and boom, you've done your DarkStar stuff. You've sped your way through it. That is 100% viable, 1000% viable. Please do it if that helps you. Bethesda giving you ways to cheat the DarkStar research since free lanes. No, it's fine. That is exactly how I would hope some people play it. This isn't meant to be a permanent requirement. You don't have to ever do the research. If you have 50 quantum essence, you can come into here and turn on VIP mode, and then the research requirements for crafting things goes away, and you'll be able to just freely do legendaries all you want and everything else. If you want to pull legendaries off of things and put them on other gear, just dump them into this box, press the button, wait, and pull them out, and you're good. All right, you can do that. So this is transferring legendaries between gear. It's doable right there with that. And then at any normal works, weapon or spacesuit workbench. And no, turning on VIP mode doesn't make it all available at level 1. You still have to earn your keep. You still have to play the game. I am not at all ever going to give you a mod that says, hey, here, please cheat the game on me. Right? That is not how I operate. If you want to play that way, that's fine. Do it. I encourage you. Have fun. But those are not the type of mods that I'm ever going to build. I say that, and I have some experience giving cheat weapons for sure, but that's a different story. Those were made for modders to quickly relevel tunes they corrupted. So, that is the shipbuilding and crafting section in a nutshell. There is more to it than that. Let me go back to the shipbuilding stuff for those that are new here briefly. So, the ship parts that DarkStar provides are with a specific purpose. They are not here to be free and easy win buttons right away. Most of them have level requirements, skill requirements, New Game Plus requirements if you see the X in the name here. So DarkStar X, that X means that it's starborn. The M means that it's mortal. So the most powerful things require the highest levels, the New Game Plus trips, the max skills. I mean, you can see this is not light work here. This takes effort to get here. And that is by design. The DarkStar's purpose is not to make you overpowered. Yes, you will eventually become overpowered, but you will put in time and effort and levels and work to get there. So by the time you get there, you won't feel like you're overpowered. You'll feel like you earned it. That's the point. If you already come in as a high-level character and everything's already turned on because you're already high enough level to qualify for everything, then congrats to you. You earned it. You just weren't using DarkStar while you earned it. That's the difference. But just because you walk in at high level and everything's super easy and it's already there, doesn't mean it's the same case when you're running a brand new character. Trust me, the frustration of trying to get to high enough level to start claiming DarkStar ship parts is very real. For those of us that have played with DarkStar for over a year, when we have to start a new character or decide to start a new character, it's brutal how big the difference is. It really is. And not having access to things, you're like, oh my God, I just need to level faster. So what is the point behind all this? Look, they all look the same. They're all different versions and all different level unlocks and different purposes behind what you might want. You might not want to build a ship with 62 power. You may choose to build one with only 53, right? Class A, Class B, Class C. So you may not want a Class C reactor. You may only want a Class A. I don't make that choice for you. I leave that choice up to you. But I also give you flips so that you can vary how your things look. Make your ship look how you want. This is what DarkStar calls hiding in plain sight. These are upgraded versions of what you would see in vanilla. You're not going to find a vanilla reactor that gives you 62 power. That isn't a thing. This Class A is higher power, or this Class A is higher power than the strongest vanilla reactor, which tops out at 40. So this is a 43 power Class A reactor. So, maybe you never upgraded your piloting beyond piloting rank 2, and you can only run Class A reactors. Well, here you go. You have a Class A reactor that outshines the Class C reactors in the base game. You got to be higher level for it, and in this case, you got to be starborn. But then you can also make it look like anything you want. So you can make your ship look like it's weaker than it is. You can literally, and I've done it on streams in the past, you can literally modify the Frontier, for example, swapping out part for part and making them look identical to the original ship. And it will look exactly like you're flying a completely vanilla Frontier. But the moment you open fire, everyone knows you're not a vanilla Frontier. You just shot starborn weapons out of that ship. But where'd they come from? It's that kind of hiding in plain sight thing that DarkStar guns for. So parts that look like vanilla parts that aren't vanilla parts. You can flip them around, choose your different color options, whatever you choose to do. The choice is yours. You have full flexibility. Every part is here for the critical systems. Modified and powered up by DarkStar to be just slightly better than vanilla. Discrete cargo and fuel tanks that act like equipment plates. You can mount equipment too. Where do they store their fuel? In the space between realities. And they use quantum technology to pull that stuff back into this dimension on demand. That's the lore behind it. the cloaking device, which, you know, Bethesda has their cloaking device now. This cloaking device has been here for over a year. In fact, the original DarkStar cloaking device was on DarkStar Astrodynamics, and it was added in 2024. So DarkStar has had cloaking for a long time. Let me give you a pro tip about cloaking your ship. Don't have a lot of habs. Don't have a lot of glowy structural parts. Anything that's emitting and anything that is got a large interior or many interior cells, that is going to cause you many lag spikes and possibly even crash the desktop. So small ships are best. Medium, you're pushing it. Large ships with tons of habs, don't put a cloaking device on them, or you will cause problems for yourself. It's not going to be my fault if you do it. It's not going to be Bethesda's fault if you do it. You've been warned. All right. And then like things like engines, multi different powered engines at different power requirements, so that you can, you know, build your ship to have as many or as few weapon engines as you want, of all different kinds, as colors, shapes, and sizes. Everything's covered. They're all here. Same thing with cockpits. They're all in here. They all have slightly upgraded stats over the vanilla ones. So if you notice the cargo on this ship, this is the DarkStar Ravager Mark X. This is attainable way higher level, and into multiple NG Plus trips. And I know I've upgraded it since with these new weapons. But 97,000 cargo, 5,500 hull, and maxed out particle weapons, top speed of 220, with 100 mobility, 8 crew with only 2 habs, and a 30 light year jump range. It's no slouch. In fact, in vanilla, there's no ship that can counter it. No group of encounters that can encounter it. You can survive everything with this ship. But then again, by the time you reach that point, you should feel like a god in space. So why not? Go for it. It's mostly for I've earned it. I'm going to have a little bit more casual time in space. But then you add things like Watchtower if you use it, or the new DLC, which I haven't even had a chance to play. But anything that adds space encounters from any other mod, then you may want a ship like this. You may not want to run a fleet with one of the fleet mods. You may want to run solo just yourself. That's me. I don't like doing the you know, tons of crew and tons of companions, and like I play loners. So to that end, I want to kind of be myself on my own ship, not even a robot around. So I mean, that may change in the future, may change in my next stream, but this ship is powerful enough to let that happen. So there you go. So the whole point is the ship parts flip to give you all of the variations that are available in the game, the base game, graphically, and give you those as flips for the identical stats across different tiers that you can unlock as you play the game. Make your ship look like you want and perform how you want without compromise. And there you go. Lots of stuff in DarkStar. It is designed to live behind your game and just add to the end game, add to the research grind a little bit, but add to the rewards as you continue on through the game. It is not designed to change how the game functions. It's just designed to enhance the overall gameplay experience and let you keep playing the game for as long as possible on a given character without feeling like, I'm so overpowered, the game's boring. Well, if you're running the DarkStar scaling system, you're probably not going to say that for a really, really, really long time. We have members on Discord that are closing in on level, I kid you not, 999, legitimately, and are still playing the game and having a blast, and still claiming today that they won't play without DarkStar. But it's not for everybody, and I get that. It definitely, because it requires work, and it doesn't give you a bunch of stuff just for free straight up front, some players won't want it, and that's fine. I didn't claim I was making a mod for literally every single player. It is okay if we like different things. But for those of you that like to put in effort and feel rewarded, this is the mod for you. 100%. And with that, I bid you all a fair day and I will see you in the Starfield. Peace. Time for a demonstration of combat with DarkStar 2.0 and a maxed out character. So this is in-game. Really strong character with some free lanes updates to his gear. Let's go see what combat is like and what the loot is like with gameplay options set as such. Extreme. Lots of environmental damage and everything else. And punish me for DarkStar. Let's go. Let's quick save first. All right, so that is a single POI. That would give you plenty of equipment that you could take back to the Codex machine and disassemble, and then do research if that was what your needs were. And with some of the weapons that were here, not handling yourself properly and being under geared would definitely be the end of you. So I hope that you like the new updates to DarkStar and enjoy yourself with Freelanes and DarkStar in cooperation. Peace.